Yesterday, Arsenal fans received the sad news that former graduate Billy Vigor had passed away. Billy, who left Arsenal in the summer of 2024, having played for the under-18s and under-21 sides, most recently played for Chichester, the Isthmian League. Everyone at Red Lines and Half Spaces sends their condolences to Billy's family and loved ones. Rest in peace, Billy. Arsenal have beaten Port Vale 2-0 in the third round of the Carabao Cup and will now face Brighton at home in the fourth round. We're going to look back at the game and all of the talking points. William Saliba has agreed a new 5-year deal to stay at Arsenal. So what does this mean for the club and the long-term future for our French centre-back? We're then going to look ahead to our big fixture this weekend as we travel to face Newcastle at St James's Park. What are we going to be expecting? And what do we need to do to get those 3 points? Finally, the predictions game is back with our lovely host Joe as we look at the scores on the doors from last week and make our predictions for this week. There's a lot to talk about on episode 18 of Red Lines and Half Spaces. Welcome to episode 18 of Red Lines Half Spaces. Arsenal are through to the Carabao Cup fourth round, having beaten Port Vale. So let's dive into it. But let's dive into someone else, our lovely co-host, Joe. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm very well, yeah. Very well, thank you, mate. Life's good at the moment. It's just
nappy changing and everything. I mean, do you want to tell the people what
I mean, running late due to parenting issues as usual. Nappy changing, feeding.
It's a life,
back to nappy change again, birthing. But yeah, wouldn't change it for world, mate. So it's my new life now, and I love it. I can't lie, I'm absolutely loving it. So yeah,
Joe was a hard partier in the past. He was always partying, wasn't he? And now he's just
slanderous accusations.
No, it's good to hear your little ones. All right, Joe, let's dive into the content because we've got a lot to cover. Obviously, Arsenal have beaten Port Vale 2-0. It was a cold Wednesday night, as we put it with Tom Canton on our last podcast. If you've not checked it out, do check it out. It's on all the good podcast platforms. Amazing to have a chat with Tom. He's one of the legends of Twitter and of the reporting world, and we look forward to talking to him again in the future. But Joe, this game could always been a banana skin. It's look at what happened with Man United going out to Grimsby in the second round. It's never cut and dry, is it? It's never straightforward, especially away from home in someone else's ground where it's the big game for them. It literally is one of the biggest games they'll have for the season or maybe in the past couple of seasons. How did you view the game, Joe, in terms of the potential banana skin?
Going into it, I didn't realistically see this as a game that we were ever going to lose, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe you could argue that's somewhat sort of a bit, like you said with the Man United thing, a bit arrogant, maybe. I don't know, is that the right word? But I was just very confident that we had enough in this game, basically. Because I think in years gone by, when we've rotated, there might have been a chance that something could go wrong because we haven't had the depth that we've got now. Whereas now, like, we rotated 9 players out and we were still putting internationals on the pitch. So, yeah, I was fairly confident we'd get the job done. Obviously, we'll go into the game in more depth. I would have liked, in an ideal world, to see a few more goals, a bit more sort of attacking fluidity, if you like. That would be nice to see. But I think we need to keep in mind that when you look at the lineup, there are people there who haven't had enough minutes yet this season. So there's people finding some sharpness. People like Ben White coming back from injury, Saka coming back from injury. They're kind of getting back up to speed. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I would have liked to have seen a few more goals and a few more talking points in the game, if you like, and sort of wax lyrical about our young players and how they've each scored hat-tricks and whatnot. But no, I think at the end of the day, I was fairly confident of a result going into the game. And in the end, I think that's what we got, really, just a fairly comfortable performance.
Yeah, so obviously we won 2-0, but let's look at the lineup, Joe. As you said, a lot of rotation. In goal, Kepa Arrizabalaga making his debut for Arsenal. Then you had the back four of Ben White, as you mentioned, William Saliba, who's finding minutes again after that hamstring injury and starting at Man City, Christian Mosquera, who's been excellent and gets another chance to show how impressive he is. Miles Lewis Skelly making his first proper appearance of the season. Then into midfield, Ethan Wanyeri making his first appearance properly of the season in terms of full start. Christian Norgard as well making his first full start for Arsenal, having joined from Brentford. And Eberechi Eze coming into the midfield. Up front, the returning Bukayo Saka, who's trying to find some minutes after coming on for about, 45-ish
Mhm.
at the weekend against City. Mika Marino up front and Martinelli on the left wing. Joe, the lineup, as you said, was heavily rotated, a bit of a mix, but the one constant here is this is a quality lineup. As in the
Mhm.
past, we've had a mix of look, it's very disparaging to say that people are not at the level in terms of Arsenal, but there was a clear disparity between
Mm.
what we're seeing now with Arsenal and the level of the reserves before, wasn't there, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you've said, mate, in years gone by, we'd bring in some reserves and you'd be a bit concerned about them. Won't go into naming names, so I don't want to sort of lump on anyone. But
There's an extensive list, isn't there, Joe?
yeah, we're not short on options. But no, I think like we said, like there'd be a few players who you'd bring in. You'd think he's coming into this game, but he's not going to play again for another 6 months. It'd be players like that who'd get in the team, but you knew full well didn't have a future in the seed, or we wouldn't see them again unless we had another easy draw in the next round. Whereas this team, I mean, like we said, heavily rotated, but I mean, you're still bringing in like brilliant footballers, still top draw players. I mean,
And that
we've
wasn't even the
seen,
full start. That wasn't even the full lot. It could have been more, couldn't it? Because Hincapié was out. There's
yeah,
a few
exactly.
injuries, wasn't there?
This is the team. Like Lewis Skelly, obviously, was our sort of standout player last year. He's not had any minutes this year, so I mean, he's coming in as a backup. Christian Mosquera, obviously, new signing, but he's been outstanding in deputising while Saliba's been injured. It's nice to see Gabriel given a rest in this one. Ben White, obviously, was our first choice right back for years until Timber come along and Timber's done what Timber does. So still quality. Eze, obviously, done what he did at Palace, was outstanding player. Norgard, Premier League proven with Brentford, loads of experience. Wanyeri's obviously been in around the first team now for sort of a year, 2 years. And then, yeah, the front three were Martinelli, Marino, and Saka. They're starting Champions League games for us last year. So, like, yeah, plenty of rotation. But I mean, look at the depth we've got now. It's pretty scary for the opposition teams that we're able to field a team like that, and that's 9 changes from the team that played City.
Yeah,
So,
without Havertz even, there's still
yes,
more to come, isn't there? There's still
yeah,
players
absolutely,
coming back. Uh,
absolutely.
so, Joe, let's look at a quick few stats. The 19% possession for Port Vale versus 81% possession. We could tell what kind of game this was going to be. I mean, Port Vale are 16th or so in League
Mhm.
One. They're not pulling up trees at the moment, so you kind of expected Arsenal with their passing game to really outpass them, but also as well expected goals. Um, Arsenal with 1.06 expected goals on the XG. Port Vale with 0.08. I don't think they really had a big chance, and we'll talk about that in a
Mhm.
second. 3 shots for Port Vale and 11 shots for Arsenal, and going to big chances. We had 2 big chances, which we scored from, obviously, and they had 0. Joe, as you said at the start of this section, this was, it wasn't an easy game, but it was comfortable, I would say, in terms of I don't think Port Vale were ever going to threaten our goal, and it proved with 0 big chances. We got the 2 goals. The first one from Eberechi Eze scoring his first Arsenal goal. Nice little move. What did you make of the goal? It was, there's some contention as to who scored, who assisted, because Gary Martinelli's been on social media saying, "Oh, it was my assist, bro," even though he stepped over it. So Miles Lewis Skelly obviously provided the ball. Debatable whether Martinelli got a touch, but Eberechi Eze coming in and scored a really nice curled finisher into the bottom corner. What do you make of it? And
Yeah,
Eze's
yeah,
performance in general?
it was a nice little spell of possession we had. moved it across the pitch really nicely. And then just that injection of a bit of pace. I think it was Martinelli sort of laid it into MLS and then went for the return, didn't he? But MLS
Yeah.
sort of flicked it or didn't flick it around the corner, if you like.
Yeah.
And Eze, it was a beautiful finish, just the way he let the ball come across his body, sort of feinted the defender, just opened up all the space in that bottom corner and rolled it in with the kind of composure that you'd expect to see from him. Had a good performance, Eze. I thought he done really well. Would have been nice to see him get the second goal.
And he had another chance, didn't he? He had a very good
Yeah,
chance,
chance
didn't
was
he?
laid on by Marino, which was really
Yeah.
nice little reverse pass, actually. I think it's fair play to the keeper. Did well there. Eze done everything right, kept it low, hit it hard, but the keeper had sort of got a good sort of foot out and but made a good save at the end. So, no, I thought Eze had a really good performance. I think Wanyeri as well, I was really impressed with.
I thought
Didn't get a
Wanieri,
goal.
I thought Wanieri started very well, but then in the second half faded quite a bit, and that's a
Mm,
concern for me that you want him to be able to, temper his performance so that he can provide for the full 90 if he has to play
mm,
that. I just thought in the second half he went missing a little bit and then, it wasn't really there. First half, yeah, I agree with you. He was very
mm.
good. He was moving well, getting the ball, turning, passing well. Just yeah, needs to do it for the 90 for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, I liked how involved he is in games now. Like you
Yeah.
said, he's sort of tailed off in the second half, but I think when he first came into the side, you saw flashes and
Yeah.
moments where he'd kind of get on the ball and do something, but then he'd go missing for 10 minutes or so. Whereas I feel like what we're seeing now is a more consistent level of performance. He's always showing the ball. He's getting on. He's wanting to dictate things now.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed with him. I know it's only Port Vale and you have to kind of temper it with the level of opposition they're up against, but it was just nice to see him kind of having a constant role in the game rather than dipping in and out of it, which I think is promising because it's something that he needs to work on. So yeah, to see that, I think it's good. But yeah, I was really impressed with Eze as well. I think he had a good game.
Yeah, I think so.
And
Does it
after
so
seeing that,
here's my question to you, Joe.
gone.
Eze's provided, assists and obviously scored the goal. I think, for me personally, he warrants a starting place because I think at the moment, there's always this talk at the moment of Mikel's a bit negative. He needs to play, that connector. We've said it in the last podcast that connector needs to be there. And I think with Erdegaard being out, not fully fit, I doubt he'd be fully fit for the next game either. It's not 100%. He would be likely on the bench. Eze to me strikes as the natural number 10 to play. I know we
Mm.
don't play the number 10, but he should be that kind of creative player because he makes things happen, doesn't he? I kept saying it. He makes things happen. What do you think, Joe? Does he, and we'll talk about the Newcastle game in depth, but for you, should he start the next game?
Personally, I think he should. Simply because of the sort of dynamic nature in which he plays. I think we missed that in the centre when Odegaard and him aren't playing. We've seen against Liverpool, we've seen against City, that kind of midfield three of Zubimendi, Marino, Rice. And whilst, yes, there are times where I think you could make an argument for that, I think if we were to see that again this weekend, I think a lot of fans would, I think there'd be a lot of noise. I think there's already quite a bit of noise, but I think the volume would go up again on this whole kind of that midfield three debate. And is Arteta going to be attacking enough to win a league and all that sort of thing? I think all those questions would just get louder and louder, especially if the result doesn't go to our way as well. But yeah, for me, I'd be starting Eze in the 10 every day. If Odegaard is fit, he can be on the bench and come on. We saw what happened last time. He played 10 minutes and got injured again. So I wouldn't be tempted to throw him in against Newcastle, which you know is going to be a physical battle. I think Eze will deal with that better than he will. And I think Eze's got the ability more than Odegaard to beat a man in the middle of the pitch and open up space for others. And I think he's got the sort of, he's got the pace and he's got the physical attributes to be able to hold off and ride challenges through the middle of the air, through the middle of the pitch, which is where we know Newcastle are going to be very physical. So, yeah, I'd be starting him just for that simple fact, mate. I think he offers a lot of solutions to potential problems that Newcastle will give us in kind of the attack versus defence sort of part of the game.
Yeah, I agree. I think Eze should be starting. I get the feeling Mikel will probably start the midfield three that started against City purely because it's Newcastle, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The second goal came from our substitute Leandro Trossard. Again, my argument with Trossard is he does better when he comes from the bench. When he
Mm.
starts, he looks absolute. It doesn't look very good at all, but he does this. They say it's the cycle of Trossard where he comes on, looks good, then plays terrible, goes back off, and then looks good again, isn't it? It's frustrating because he is a good player, there's no doubt of that, but he just seems to do better when he comes from the bench, doesn't he, Joe?
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but when he came on, there wasn't a doubt in my mind that he wasn't going to score in this game. I thought Trossard's coming, we're winning 2-0, Trossard will score because that's what he does. And to have that on the bench is a massive weapon for us. And that, unfortunately for him, is the role that I want to see him fulfill in this side. I want him to be a bench player, but to come on in games. And if we are struggling, he's capable of popping up with a goal or an assist or making
Yeah.
something happen. From the start, obviously, I think he has limitations. I think his own limitations. And I think he also inadvertently puts limitations on the 11 that are playing because of his sort of shortfalls, if you like. But as an option off the bench, I'm more than happy for him to fulfill that role. If he's happy doing that, which I'm not sure he is by the sounds of it, then obviously that's a problem. But I think if we can go through the season with using Trossard as that kind of off the bench player, make a difference in games when he's needed. He can start in League Cup games against Port Vale and stuff. I wouldn't have a problem with it. But I think predominantly he should be that man who comes off the bench to make a difference if we're struggling, or to provide
Yeah.
a rest for a Martinelli who may be starting, or an Eze who may be starting over there on that side.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't see where when Trossard starts, I don't see it. He just doesn't contribute enough. But when he comes on, my God, does he contribute? Because I think he finds the spaces better. He understands the space better. Couple of
I
talking
think,
points. Go on.
I think Gyökeres assisted with that as well, because I think when he came on, he was running in behind
And that
Port Vale,
stretched
and I
them
don't
out.
think
Yeah.
we was doing that earlier. I think Marino was playing very deep, considering he was our centre forward, which I found
He wasn't
strange. But
he really wasn't centre forward. He wasn't even a
nah,
false nine. Even I don't think we
weird,
actually
wasn't he? He was
played with
so
him.
deep. But I feel like when Gyökeres come on, he sort of stretched Port Vale, and I think that allowed the space then
Yeah,
for
they were worried. They're definitely worried. They were
Saliba to,
definitely more worried they were definitely more worried about Gyökeres than
yeah.
Marino. Really.
Yeah, and I just think that opened up more space for him. So I think Gyökeres had a fairly decent game as well. I would like to see him take that chance as well, where he took a bit too long on it.
Yeah.
But I think again, he had a good impact on the game.
Well, hold your thoughts on Gyökeres because obviously we're going to talk about his week. He's had a
Mm.
very interesting week. Couple of talking points just to finish off this game, and then we'll talk about the fourth round. Obviously, Bukayo Saka started the game. Honestly, I was kind of scared when he started, and when he went down, I was even more scared because he was rolling over, and I was like, "Oh, come on, Mikel, why do you do this to me?" But obviously, finished the game. Well, didn't finish the game. Came off in the 63rd minute for Max Dowman. I think this is the first time we haven't actually talked about Max Dowman influencing the
Mm.
game or doing something because he had a fairly quiet game. But he's 15 years old and can't expect it. But look, it's good to get minutes in Bukayo Saka's legs. But again, we look at this like the Oxford game, I kind of think, oh, why are you playing him for this game? But I kind of get it. Where do you stand on this, Joe? Because obviously he had 45 minutes against City, looked fairly good, looked decent here, did a few things, wasn't amazing by any stretch, but he's finding fitness back. But obviously we need him now for the games with the unfortunate news that Noni Madueke is now out for about 2 months. What do you view Bukayo Saka's fitness journey as at the moment? Because obviously 63 minutes here. Would you have wanted 63 minutes here, or is it kind of a bit too long for you, Joe?
No, I think given that he played 45 against City, I think the kind of when we've seen players coming back, the next progression is to do about an hour, isn't it? Roughly, sort of an hour, 65 minutes, wherever it might be. My only concern going into the game was obviously this is a massive game for Port Vale, and we know teams of that level when they come up against Arsenal, their first thing is right. Let's go get into them. Let's unsettle them. So that was a concern to me. But I think the way we played the game, it was almost as if we'd had this discussion prior to kickoff, because there was very few times where we or sort of any of our players engaged with the sort of Port Vale players.
Yeah.
If there looked like there was a challenge coming, the pass was made a good few seconds before they got there. And it was almost as if we went for a death by possession sort of approach
Isn't
to the
that
game.
kind of what you want? Isn't that kind of what you want, Joe, in this kind of game?
Absolutely,
That
mate.
you
Yeah,
use
100%.
your superior
It takes
technical ability.
takes all the risk out of the game. It takes all the risk of getting injuries and sort of those impacts kind of things out of the game. I mean, the only challenge I can think of was the one that Saka got, where he sort of
Yeah.
took a studs on top of the foot. But I mean, other than that, we kind of got through the game with sort of the bare minimum of fuss. There were no real
That's
kind
kind of what you
of
want. You kind
issues
of
or anything
want
like
that
that. We
though, don't
just
you? You kind of want that though, Joe, don't you? This is if you're drawing up the
mm,
plan for you're going to Stoke Wednesday night, League One team, it's gonna be tough. What do? Pass them to death,
mhm.
minimize the effort that you have, and get to the next game. I think that sounds like
Yeah,
the
this is
perfect plan for Miguel.
sandwiched in between City and Newcastle, obviously. So
Yeah.
I think if that was the game plan, then it's absolutely perfect because whilst it might not be pretty on the eye, whilst we might want to see us slap teams with a few divisions below us, ultimately we've got through a game, like we said, no real stress in the legs, been fairly comfortable, lots of possession, done a very professional job, got the win 2-0, and we move on to the next one. We're into the next round. That's all that really matters. So, no, if, like I said, if that was sort of something that Arteta discussed and employed in the game, then absolutely brilliant. That's what we want to do to these teams, really. But yeah, in terms of Saka, after the initial kind of panic of someone's going to whack him, once we kind of saw how the game was playing out, I think an hour was probably about right for him. And look sharp, look good, and hopefully that will carry him in good stead going into the Newcastle game.
Yeah, because that's gonna be a tough one. Again, we know what's coming with Newcastle. We'll talk about that in a minute. Um, so obviously 2-0, we're through to the 4th round, and we play Brighton at the Emirates. Joe, this I wouldn't say it's like, if we'd drawn one of the big 6, you would've been, "Oh, it's coming." But this is not gonna be an easy test, is it? Brighton are a very good team. I mean, you're looking at, some very good attacking-wise, they're very, very good, and
Mm,
but they're unpredictable, aren't they? They do shit goals a little bit at the moment. I mean, we saw 2-2 against Tottenham. They went up 2-0, but conceded 2 goals.
mm.
How are you viewing the 4th round? Because again, we've got the second string. I know it's a bad word to use second string, but I'm just using that for context. But we've got the kind of squad depth that should allow us to rotate, but still have the qualities we talked about in this game, shouldn't we,
Mm.
Joe?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And I think if, as an example, if this side was to play against Brighton, I'd still fancy us to win. I'd still expect us to go and get the job done. When is that fixture? How lo-
I think it's because obviously Havertz will be back as well shortly.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because depending on when it is,
Oh, it's a while actually.
there may be more sort of options back. I don't know whether Havertz will be back, but I mean, Hincapié, he should be available for that one, and there should be a few options back. I'd like to think maybe even Madueke might be close to returning. I don't know what
Oh,
the
it's
sort of
scheduled
timescale is
yet.
on the game, but yeah, whilst you're having a look, yeah, but I think that I think Brighton, I think it'll be a good game. I think it could potentially be a game that suits us because Brighton will play sort of that kind of possession game as well. They're not a defensive team, and I think if they're playing against a heavily rotated Arsenal, they might fancy their sort of chances of sort of going at Arsenal and having a game. And obviously, if teams come to play like that at the Emirates against us,
Mm.
then more often than not, I think we have enough to open them up and win the game. So yeah, it's a difficult fixture, but I think we could have had a trickier game. And I think if we still, even with the rotation, I'd still fancy us to get the job done against
Yeah.
Brighton, to be honest.
I think so. It's the week commencing October 27th, so a month away. So that's actually a good time frame because get some players back, and you'd hope Nkapie and Havertz are certainly back, and they're two who would definitely be on the hook for that one.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
definitely.
I think that's, and it's at the Emirates as well, so you'd expect a good showing considering what's going on. But it is kind of in between the international breaks, which is obviously not ideal. So, but yeah, it's going to be a tough fixture, and we know what to expect with Brighton. Very good side. Joe, let's shift gears. Talk about some very good news. Obviously, this week, the news that William Saliba has agreed a new long-term 5-year deal with the club to stay. He had about 2 years left. His contract was going to expire at the end of 2020, 2026, but 5 more years. I think it's 27 actually. Sorry, and 5 more years, and he goes through to 2030. I mean, this is a big piece of news because look, we know that William Saliba had been courted by Real Madrid in particular, who do like
Mhm.
to do these kind of deals where they approach players who are near the end of their contract, say, "Well, why don't you think about running down your contract and joining us?" A la Trent. 2 years to get prepared for your Spanish lessons, so you can turn up on that pedestal and talk Spanish, and people go, "Ooh, you've been learning the language, so you did, you were." Um, Joe, this is a Andrea Berta's done it, hasn't he? Again, he's been. I think he's been impressing everyone with his deals throughout the summer, even the renewals. Miles Lewis Skelly, Gabriel, and
Mm.
now one of the big ones. We all obviously know there's one more to come, hopefully, and that gets done, which is obviously Bukayo Saka. But this is a big one, isn't it? Because obviously there'd been a lot of talk of William Saliba with Real Madrid, but you see all the videos. He's Arsenal, isn't he? He's an Arsenal through and through.
Yeah.
He loves it. How do you view the contract signing for William Saliba?
It's absolutely massive, mate, isn't it? I mean, he's arguably well, not arguably, he's one of the best players in the world in his position. He's only 24 years old and he's committed arguably his peak years to Arsenal.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know at the moment there's a lot of kind of the mood of Arsenal fans kind of is very up and down depending on results at the moment. It's either one extreme or the other. But I feel like this news, it kind of shows that there's a level of calm behind the scenes, if you like, whilst we're kind of up and down about results and what attacking changes does Arteta need to make and what formations are we doing, all this sort of thing. It shows that in the club and behind the scenes, I think the players all trust in Arteta and they all see that they all agree with the long-term vision and see this club sort of pushing for trophies. Because if they didn't, they wouldn't be signing these deals, as we've seen before with the likes of Omri, Fabregas, Van Persie. Now, all these players, all top players, all left Arsenal because
Yeah.
they didn't see that vision for the club, and maybe the club weren't pushing for that anymore. Like we said, with the top four kind of situation that it was back in the day. But no, it's a massive thing for the club to tie down Saliba. Like we said, Saka will hopefully be the next one. Um, but yeah, I think you can't understate just how big this is for the club. I mean, like I kind of touched on, for years we saw our best players leave, and now
Yeah.
all the best players are staying. When you look at who signed recently, you rattled off the list of names there. These players all walk into any team in the world for me. So the fact that they are all committing their peak years to Arsenal, it shows you what they think of the club, and I think that's more important than kind of the up and down nature, if you like, of the fans regarding results. If the players are all buying into what we're doing, ultimately that is the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a testament to, the work Andrea Berta, Mikel Arteta, and the executive team are doing to convince the players that, look, this is you are the future. We're going to have a massive future. And there is, I think, as you said, there's an up and down nature of, the individual results, but I think everyone can see we're on a trajectory. It's not easy to make that jump from second to first. Let's be frank. It's a competitive league. Liverpool have spent very well. Man City have spent very well. So it's always competitive. But you can see real progress. We are a club on the up, and we've got the investment made this summer has only strengthened that. And I think the deals being done, Gabriel committing the best years of his career, Miles Lewis Skelly committing, Ethan Wanyeri committing. We hope Bukayo Saka will commit to finish that, the round of
Mm.
contract talks out. And then obviously that's a testament to making sure that Mikel has the right players and the players that he needs to help. But just quickly, Joe, on the defence, William Saliba committing himself for, till 2030. Gabriel, I think, is about the same time, I think 2029. You've got Miles Lewis Skelly there, Ricardo Calafiore, Pierre Nkapia, who probably will likely sign on a permanent deal. I think that's pretty much done.
Mm.
Ben White, Urian Timber. It's a scary set of defenders, isn't it, now that's in that lineup? And they're committed for the long term, aren't they? I'd think Nkapia will sign, and it'll probably be a 4 or 5 year deal, unless something catastrophic happens. But that defense, very settled.
Mm.
You know what you're going to get from it, and that's what you want, isn't it? You don't want to look. You don't want that disruption in defense. And you look at other teams who are going through disruption. Liverpool have got massive disruption. We've
Mm.
heard about Giovanni Leon, who has now broken his leg and is out for a year, which is very sad to hear. But they've only got Konate, Gomez, and Van Dijk, and that's not great. And they've had to, they looked at Gahey, that hasn't come off yet. There's a lot of issues there. Then you look at Man City as well. Very unsettled defense. It keeps changing every week. Man United, my God, that defense, you don't know what that defense is going to be
What
every
defence?
week. Exactly. Chelsea as well. Chelsea, I mean, they change the defenders regularly. They brought Hato in, who doesn't look like he's taking to it as well as people thought he would, and he was linked with us. I mean, Joe, getting this kind of settled defense, especially your two main ones. I mean, the two main ones are obviously the big plus, because they've been, for me, the best centre back partnership in the last 2 to 3 years in the league. I don't think there's any doubt of that in terms of partnership. There's an argument that Virgil van Dijk is probably the best defender in the league. I'm not going to argue that. But William Saliba and Gabriel are not far behind him. So, how do you view this in terms of our settled defence for the next 2 to 3 years? Bare minimum.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And the thing is now we've got two players in each position. So you've got White and Timber as your right backs. You've got Miles Lewis Skelly and Calafiori, your left backs. Gabriel and Hincapié, obviously, they're your rotation options at centre. And then Saliba and Mosquera, who's been outstanding. So, yeah, really, really promising, mate. Really sort of considering that it was a weak point of ours for so many years defensively, to now see that as probably our biggest strength, I'd say, rather than the attacking play. I think defensively is our strongest kind of area of the team at the moment. So no, it's really positive, mate. And to finish obviously second 3 years in a row, these players obviously know how it's within touching distance. They know it just need that little bit extra now
Yeah.
to make themselves legends really at this club. Because for how long we've been without a major trophy, they know that if they're the ones to do it, they go down as, like I said, they go down as legends in the club. And that's something to really strive towards. And I imagine it's a message that they're getting from Mikel, that
Yeah.
if you do something, if you win a Champions League, you are ingrained in the history of this club forever. I mean, you just have to
Yeah.
look at what the ladies team have done over the last few years, and obviously last season winning in Europe, and now the kind of the standards and how they're held, and sort of even world renowned names now. Obviously, look at I've seen so many of them in the Ballon d'Or, and so obviously arguably one of them should have won it, but that's a debate for another time. But yeah, that's the kind of level now that these players need to get to, and they're so close. And the fact that they're all sticking together and wanting to push on together to get this job done, is massive for us. And I think it's a massive testament as well to Andrea Berta, to Mikel Arteta, or everyone who's sort of behind the scenes and's got these players convinced of the project and where they can potentially take themselves and elevate themselves to in the years coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's only, we're looking forward to good times for Arsenal continuing, and with William Saliba committing for another 5 years, hopefully those will continue. Joe, you just touched upon it there, but we're going to touch upon it a little bit. The Ballon d'Or happened this week. Ousmane Dembele, my namesake, obviously, if people don't know. So in some cases, winning the Ballon d'Or. Do you think that was justified? I mean, Mo Salah, I think, was running close, but do you think it was a worthy winner with Ousmane Dembele?
I think so, man. I think given what obviously he done in Europe and obviously Champions League, I think, yeah, I don't think there can be too many kind of arguments that he didn't deserve it. You might say Salah deserved it more, and that's a matter of an opinion. I don't think it's kind of like the year Nedved won it over Henri, and it was just absolute scandalous.
I
But no,
still have, I'm still
honest,
aggrieved at that. I don't
every
understand. I
time
never
it sort of
understood.
pops up every now and again, you see the stats, and I think, how on earth has that happened? But yeah. So no, I think
Yeah,
he deserved it. Obviously, Salah had an outstanding season as well, but I think the fact that Dembele kind of led PSG, if you like, to the Champions League, I think
yeah.
that's ultimately why he's won it in the end.
Yeah, and then in terms of Arsenal, Declan Rice placed 27th in the overall list. Victor Gyökeres, who we'll talk about in a second as well, placed 15th, and but also won the Gerd Muller Trophy for the best striker in the world. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But also congratulations to the Arsenal women's team. Alessia Russo placed third, which I thought was a bit low. Again, we're looking at
Mm.
that as an honorary scandal, effectively. Bon Mati winning it again. I have a concern around that one because I don't think it was. She's very good, but was she the best player in the world? Questions to ask. But then Arsenal women winning the ladies team of the year, very justified because you look at that team where they went through starting from the qualification rounds in the Champions League, going all the way to win it. Very justified. But so congratulations to our women's team. But Joe, I want to touch upon Victor Gyökeres again. He's just won the Gerd Muller Trophy for the best striker. Now, yes, you can argue, and we've talked about this ad infinitum, that he's come from the Portuguese league, and there is a certain difference. But I find it a bit of travesty that we are not still getting the best out of a striker who has just won, the Gerd Muller Trophy and has placed 15th in the thing. I'm still finding it a bit of a struggle to see how we're not making the use of him. What do you make of it?
Yeah, this debate is going to rage on all season, I think, isn't it? This the Victor Gyökeres problem, if you like. But I think ultimately it's just going to come down to us getting used to him as a player and him getting used to how we play. And I think eventually we're going to have to kind of just work out how best to get him sort of going, if you like. Because at the moment, obviously, I know he's scored 3 goals, but in the bigger games he struggled, and I think the struggle comes from us not creating enough for him. I think we need to start creating more chances for him because obviously you don't win that trophy without being a great player. He's he arguably he might not be a fantastic footballer, but he's a fantastic striker. He's a fantastic centre forward. So we need to find a way to unlock him, and I think at the moment it's a bit of a slow process. Obviously, while we're kind of working out attacking wise what this team is doing, how it's going to sort of function moving forwards. But hopefully, over the next few months, what we'll see is as this side and as the team get more familiar with each other, work on the kind of the attacking side of the game. I would like to see sort of. I think you'll see more goals come from Gyökeres because I think it's once this team start creating more chances for him and work out where he's going to be, where he wants the ball. You've seen what he can do when he's in front of goal. He's a lethal finisher. Might not offer you much around the box in terms of link up play, but we haven't bought him for that. We bought him because we needed someone to put the ball
Yeah.
in the back of the net. And yeah, like I said, I think it all will just come down to we need to unleash him and kind of unburden him because at the moment he's just sort of standing up top and not much is really finding his way to him. He's not getting many chances. We need to create chances, and that's how we're going to get the best out of him. Simple as that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we saw, like with that chance in the Carabao Cup, the little flick around the corner from Dowman, which was,
Mm.
he was on it in a flash, and he just needs those kind of chances. They need to just play him into the channels a little bit. It's all too in front. It's all too in front of the defense. There's no thought about putting it in behind and trying to, maximize his obvious talents, which is around the box. It's crazy that we've got the Gerd Muller trophy holder, but yet we can't get him onto the ball to strike a ball. Oh, Jesus, Arteta, what are you doing to me? Playing the vacuum of Mikel Merino, who I think is a good player, but oh my God.
It's a
It,
very
it
Arsenal problem, isn't it? To have the
oh God,
player
it is.
who's the best striker in the world, yet we can't give him a chance to score a goal.
Only us could do that, couldn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll see how Mikel Merino does this weekend, but let's talk about our game this weekend, Joe. Newcastle away, St James's Park this weekend. I view this as if we want to be serious within the title race, I think we do have to go there and look for a win. I think we've obviously the loss at Liverpool, the draw against City was not ideal and kind of a wasted um, game for us, given the first 45 minutes were pretty poor from our standards. But I view this as we do have to win to get back to winning ways. I know we've had a tough schedule and this is a very tough period for us. But a draw or a loss is not great for us, is it, in this context in terms of the title race? Because we're already 5 points behind. I know it's early days, very early days, and people are going to say, look, still got a lot of time, but you have to get that winning momentum going, don't you? And it's not happening for us at the moment. I know, again, and I reiterate, very tough run we've had, but the squad that we've got, the team that we got, we should be doing better, shouldn't we, Joe?
Yeah, I think Tom said it in the last pod. Were we 2 points better off from the results
If we
from
win
the
this weekend,
corresponding?
we'll be 2 points better off than last season. But if we're not,
Right.
then obviously, we're
I
a
thought we
point
said we was
worse
two
off.
better off after the
No,
City.
if we win if we win at St James's,
Right. Okay. So yeah, I mean Newcastle. They've had a bit of a not a great start, have they? I mean they've drawn, I think 3 is it of the 5? I think they've been draws, so they're not sort of scoring loads, but equally not conceding loads. I think they've maybe scored 3, conceded 3, 3 draws out of the 5. So you kind of see where they're at the moment. So again, this is a game where yes, we need to sort of obviously be a bit careful. We know what St James's Park can be like. We know what Newcastle can bring to the table in terms of kind of the physicality and the running power that they have. They're a good side, but again, I think we need to maximise the fact that they're not in the best of form. We're not going to Newcastle when they're flying like we did in previous years. We're going when they're still kind of finding out a little bit about what they're doing. They've got a few new players in the team, sort of having to
They've lost their
integrate.
major. They've lost their major asset as well in Alexander
Lost
Isak, who was
obviously
who
Isak as well. I think
tormented us,
Anthony
didn't they?
Gordon, is he back for this game?
He's back for this game, yeah. So
Anthony Gordon be back. So
it,
that's another problem for Arsenal. He's a very good player, but there isn't. We shouldn't be going to Newcastle worrying about Newcastle. We should be going up there, and Newcastle should be worrying about Arsenal coming to town. And I
yeah,
think we've only conceded 2 goals this year. One, obviously, from Haaland, which was a mistake, I think, from us, really, with Gabriel kind of lunging in, and the other one's an unbelievable free kick. So we've got the defensive stability to go up there and limit Newcastle, absolutely. And I think that's why now I want to see Eze start in the 10. I want to see Martinelli on the wing with Gyökeres and Saka up there. And I really want to see us go for it and take the game to Newcastle.
yeah. Not to be
Whether we,
timid in this kind of, not to be timid in this kind of game where you're
yeah,
thinking, oh, I know how, Mikel may say, look, oh, the physicality, you want physical legs in midfield,
mm,
but I don't think Mourinho has done enough in that kind of sense. He hasn't done that for us. He's been kind of deployed as almost a second striker, loses the ball quite high up, and really doesn't do enough, does he? I just find that
no,
it's a
I
bit
think,
stodgy.
yeah, I think, like you've just said, mate, I don't think in the games that we've seen that midfield 3, I don't think Marino's done enough to justify keep going with that midfield. I think at some point you need to go, okay, it's not really working how we want it to. Let's change it
Yeah,
up. And I think the change is you put Eze in there for Marino and go with Zubimendi, Rice, and Eze as your midfield 3. And I think that's got all the kind of dynamics you need in this game. You've got the running power, obviously Declan Rice. You've got kind of that control element on the ball of the Zubimendi. Eze obviously brings your creative side, but all 3 of them have got a physicality to the game. They can all run. They've all got enough sort of, they're not the quickest players, obviously, but they've all got enough pace that they can sort of not be
yeah,
run past easily. So yeah, mate, I think I kind of agree with you. I think that it almost seems silly to say that a game is a must win when you're 6 games into the season, but I think more than the kind of points, it's more just to send a message to the fans, to the critics out there. Not that the critics matter, of course, but more to the kind of the fans that we're going for it. We're not going to be timid. We're going for the title. We want to win it rather than kind of
yeah.
defend and then see where we are in a few months. No, we're going
But
for it.
here's the big question, Joe. Will he do it though?
No, I don't think he will. I think
No,
it'll
he
be
doesn't.
Marino, Rice, Zubimendi.
Because he's
Because
pragmatic, isn't he? He can't he doesn't like it when Tom put it again, and we keep referring back to it, but Tom's such a very good analyst in terms of what he sees. But Mikel will always go with the pragmatic approach. He doesn't want to lose the game first. He views it as, if I have the most possession and the most, percentages, I win the game 9 times out of 10. But it doesn't work like that and we're seeing it more and more, that teams play on the counter attack and do very well. And Newcastle certainly are a counter attacking side. That's their MO. They will break quickly and they will use the pace of Barnes, um, and Gordon. And Voltemada is not a pace merchant, and so they're going to be looking for the long balls up to him and
do
then the
you
drop downs.
see, Yem, like a similarity between Arteta and Wenger? Because I feel like back in the day when there was almost like a stubbornness about Wenger, and when people told him, or when the media came out and said, "You can't really play this way. You need to do X, Y, Z." It's almost as if he'd say, "Well, I'm the Arsenal manager," and he'd kind of play that team to make a point and say, "I'm the manager. I'm kind of that." Do you feel like Arteta's kind of in the same sort of vein? Whereas the more he hears that Marino, Rice, Zubimendi should be playing, the more he's going to think, "Well, no, I'm going to play him now just to make a point."
I certainly think he's got a stubborn streak within him because
Mm.
you've seen it, in interviews and all that. He doesn't like being challenged. Um, yeah, I think he may just stick with that midfield because he just can't. But Marino has played a lot of games. I mean,
Mm.
he's played a couple of games in a row. We live in hope. Let's just say that. I would like to see a bit more of an attacking lineup because I think if you're going to Newcastle, the way you're going to win is not through beating the midfield. It's going at their defence because if I look at their injuries as well, Jan Visser is out, so that's a big one because he was their big signing for the summer. done very well. Fabian Schär, who's a big part of their defence, is a doubt, and that's a big one because it will likely be Malik Thiaw who from they got from AC Milan coming in, and you want to try and unsettle that defence. So look, they've still got a very, very good side. Their midfield is, Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton, and Sandro Tonali. Up front, I think there is it'll be interesting to see what they do because obviously they've got Anthony Elanga, who is very pacey, very,
Mm.
very good player. Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon, who's coming back from suspension, but you suspect will start. And then obviously Nick Voltemade, who they've bought, very lanky striker, very different from Alexander Isak, who's left, who was a big tormentor of ours for most of the games.
Mm.
But it's going to be certainly a physical game. We know that already. We already if the Arsenal players don't know what they're going to get, 4:30 under the lights at St James's Park on a Sunday. Someone better tell somebody quick. Someone better tell Zubamendi very quickly what's coming because it's going to be a war out there. But we should have enough quality up front to be a threat and to make it awkward. Because the more you make it awkward for Newcastle, the less they're going to have that chance to attack. And but I think we do need to look at trying to go attacking to win the game. I just find that, Newcastle was not as strong as they were. They've played the Carabao Cup this week, same to us. They had to play a few more first teamers, although they had some rotation, but we need the win in this game. I just think that to get that consistency going, we've got a better run coming, but you want to start that off in the right way just to maximize your points. I mean, yeah, I think we just need to make sure that we put a marker down here. It's been a tough place to go. We should be better this year with also the quality that we got off the bench, Joe. Um,
Before the season started, if someone had said to you from those first 6 games, 4 wins, a draw, and a loss, I think you'd probably take it, won't you? I think considering
yeah,
the sheer look at the run
absolutely.
we had. So if Arsenal can go and get the win at St James's, it will be massive. But yeah, it pains me to say it's a must-win game because it's so early in the season. It puts the pressure on. But unfortunately, that's
That's
the
the
world
title.
we live
That's the
in now.
title. When you're going for the title as well, you know the standards that there are now. It's
Mm.
it's ultra competitive, and Liverpool set the standard last season. We need to, to make sure that we're in that
Well,
competition.
Liverpool, we saw what struggles Liverpool had up there, but they went and got the job done. They got a 3-2 win. So if we want to keep pace with Liverpool, they've set the standard. You've got to go up there and get 3 points.
Yeah, and it's going to be as charged as it was at Liverpool. Liverpool obviously have got there's a personal grudge there now,
Mm.
and there was some there was some fire behind it. But Arsenal were always going to be, a tough game for Newcastle, and they always make it a noise there. Um, Joe, we're going to come to the predictions in a second, so we'll do our predictions for the game in that. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one, and hopefully we can, get a positive result. So, Joe, I'm going to hand it over to you, our lovely host, for the predictors game. Why don't you take us through last time's results and then get us
Well,
going with this week?
last week, Yem, you started out very well. You got the first 2 results spot on.
Oh
So I
God,
think you,
I hear a butt coming.
but yeah, after that, then it all went south, and you didn't get any more.
Oh, for God's sake! Oh,
So,
for
but
God's sake!
you'll be happy to know, Yem, you actually won last week. You
Hey, the comeback is on.
you
Come
you
on,
topped you
people!
topped me by 5 points.
Yes,
I got a lot of
swing it.
results right, but I didn't get many scores. Whereas you got a couple of bang on results. So yeah, good work, mate. 25 to
The
20 last week.
the swing has happened.
So going into game week 6, we're all tied up. It's all square. So
Lovely, lovely.
the early game of this week,
Mm.
I believe, is Brentford and Manchester United.
Is anyone predicting anything but a Brentford win here? I mean, Man United are catastrophic. The problem is that Man United do have the capacity to pull out a decent result. But Casemiro is out now because he got sent off in that chaotic game against Chelsea. I just think Brentford are tailor-made for Man United. They've got a lot of pace. I don't think they've started very well, and I think Keith Andrews is under a little bit of pressure at the moment. But they've got the right ingredients to take the game to Man United to make it awkward, and I think Man United are in a position where I don't think it's working for Ruben Amorim. I'd be very surprised if he lasts the season. I'm going to go for a 2-1 to Brentford. Again, keeping my
Kick it off with a 2-1.
the
It was
way I
always going to
think.
be, wasn't it?
Exactly. You love it, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, United and Brentford similar starts to the season, aren't they? I mean, they've both had their struggles. I think United have won 2, Brentford have only won 1. So neither side have
The
really.
two they've won, the Chelsea one was debatable because Chelsea should have, if they'd kept the actual players on their pitch,
Yeah,
that they, like the Netos, etc., they would have won.
yeah, neither side have been outstanding. Both struggling for goals. I think this could potentially be a 1-1 draw.
Okay.
So I'm going to go for a
Okay.
1-1. Next one is Leeds at home to Bournemouth.
I like Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth are very good. So I think Bournemouth will win this one, actually. I think it will be, you're going to hate me for this, but I think it's going to be a 2-1 again.
Well, you got 2-1 Bournemouth.
I am nothing if not predictable.
2-1 to Bournemouth.
Yeah.
The Yen predictions are kicking off as they always do with a lot of
My
2-1s
tactical
coming out.
knowledge knows no bounds. If all else fails, 2-1 it is.
Yeah, to be fair, Leeds at home had a good result last time out. Was it 3-1? I think they won last time
Yeah,
out.
3-1. Yeah, but the thing is that I just think that Bournemouth are a very good side who are set up well to do counter-attacking with their pace. And Iraola is just I'm so impressed with Iraola.
Yeah,
I like him as a manager. I just think
yeah.
Leeds are an okay side. I just don't see where where the sparkle is going to happen that will keep them up at the moment. I think they've got some
No,
okay
I
players.
agree. Annoyingly, I'm gonna agree with you, Yen, and go for a 2-1 Bournemouth. I think I could see sort of a bit of a cagey start between them. I think Bournemouth will probably have, with the likes of Semenyo, a little bit too much quality for Leeds come the end of the game.
Yeah, Semenyo is such a good player.
Yeah. Next one's interesting. Chelsea at home to Brighton.
Hmm. I would like to say Brighton have, but Brighton are shipping goals, which is the problem. And Chelsea just seem to find their way. And obviously, Robert Sanchez has been sent off. That doesn't really make a difference because the next goalkeeper, they've got a truckload of goalkeepers that can come in. I still think Chelsea will win this one. I think they're still a very good side. I'm gonna go with a 3-1 Chelsea. My
3-1
heart
Chelsea.
said 2-1, but I thought I better be different and go with a 3-1.
Uh,
I bet it's gonna be a 2-1 now. I'm gonna be really pissed off at the end of it.
Shall I do a 2-1 just to really annoy? I'm
You're
gonna go
gonna do a
2-1
2-1.
Chelsea.
I know you're gonna go for it, aren't you?
I'm gonna go
2-1,
2-1
aren't you?
Chelsea just to really wind you up and get a 10-pointer for it as well. Man City at home to Burnley.
Oh, this is
I don't
Man
think this
City
one
win
will be
all the way.
2-1.
No, I don't think so. I think this is gonna be, I think Haaland against that Burnley defense, oh my god.
Mm.
I think this is gonna be a Haaland hat trick as well. I'm gonna go for a 4-0 to
4-0. Nice.
City. I just think it's one of those games, where City just rock up and are robotic almost and just
Yeah.
destroy them through sheer death by passes.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Burnley. I'm gonna go 3-0. 3-0 City. I think Burnley might be a semi-sensible and turn up and think we're not going to win. Let's just not get embarrassed. But let's see. Let's see what they do. I mean, they're not a great start if they Burnley. But next one, Palace at home to Liverpool.
Palace are doing very well. I think Glasner has done really well.
Mm.
The problem is, and you know what I'm about to say, Liverpool are finding a way to win games. I would love to say Palace. I'm going to go for a draw, actually. I'm going to put my head on the spit, go for a draw. I'm going to go with a 2-2.
2-2.
Come on. Come on, Ollie Glasner. Show
Interesting
them
because
what
I'm
you.
going for a 1-1. I think Palace aren't conceding
Oh,
many
so you think a
goals.
draw?
I think Liverpool, there might be a bit of hopium with this. There might be a little bit of praying that Liverpool finally
But
drop some points, but
obviously,
Palace are defending well.
Ekatike can't play because he's obviously got sent off for that stupid
Yeah, so Isak will come in.
second yellow card.
He'll play.
But he's not fit. He's not 100% fit, is he? He can't. How
but
long can Isak last realistically?
long enough to
He's
get a
played in the
goal, I'm
midweek as
sure,
well.
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But no, let's Palace have had a good start. Strong at home. Had a few draws, not conceding many. So
Okay.
this might be the one where we finally see Liverpool drop some points. Hopefully, we can but hope.
Okay.
Forest at home to Sunderland.
Forest are conceding goals because they played in midweek as well, didn't they? In the Europa League, which I didn't pay attention to. I completely forgot they were playing the Europa League.
2-2 against
But
Betis, I think it was. Anthony with a
they
late
went up to.
equaliser.
And they went up 2-0, didn't they? Went
Did
up
they?
2-0,
Wow.
didn't they? Yeah. So again, they're shipping goals. Will Big Ange get the result he wa I think Sunderland have done okay, actually. I think this might be a draw as well. I'm gonna go with a 1-1
1-1.
'cause I think they concede too many goals. I think they're too open.
Yeah. 1-1's a good shout. Could Sunderland nick? Could Sunderland nick it? Could Sunderland?
Possibly. I mean, th it's not a bad side. It's just that I don't see again outside of the Stadium of Light where they're gonna win games consistently.
No, but Forest are a. I'm going to go for a Sunderland 2-1. I think Forest, obviously getting used to European football. Sunderland have had a good start.
Mm.
2 wins, 2 draws from their 5.
Oh,
Forest
Izani
might.
Zinchenko starts again,
Yeah.
Zinchenko
Oh,
starts
fucking
we're gonna be
Zinchenko's
watching
playing.
that
Yeah, they're
one
definitely
with
winning. There's goals galore. Sunderland win all
oh,
day. Yeah, we'll have that.
alright.
Tottenham at home to Wolves.
Yeah, Tottenham are gonna win this. Wolves are
Mm.
I think they're relegation candidates. I think this it looks like and Vita Pereira, I think, is due to be sacked shortly.
Yeah, I
They
think
need
so,
to make
mate.
the change quickly because they've got I think Tottenham are gonna win this 3-0.
Yeah.
I think Tottenham as much as I hate it, Thomas Frank's got them doing very well. They're a very good
Yeah.
outfit. They're defensively more solid. They work harder. Um, I think it just looks like they ship a few goals when they don't need to, but they're a very good side. I think this is gonna be a game where they destroy Wolves, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to go Spurs 2-0. Wolves 5 losses from 5. Conceded 12 goals in those games, so conceding over 2 goals a game is, yeah, I think it's a game previously that Spurs might have struggled with under sort of old previous manager, but I think Thomas Frank's a serious manager, and I think he's got Spurs as a semi-serious team now. So yeah, I think it'll be a comfortable home win. Next one, Villa at home to Fulham.
Villa played in the midweek, still not looking like they're gonna win a game at the moment. I think this is gonna be a draw, actually. I think a 2-2.
2-2. Okay,
Actually,
I'm
why am I
going
saying 2-2? Villa haven't scored that many goals. 1-1. Sorry, I'm gonna go
to
1-1. Sorry, Joe.
getting very
Because I
excited.
can't
Yeah.
see Villa no, what was I thinking? Why was I thinking Villa are actually gonna score 2 goals at the moment? No.
No, I've got a feeling this is going to be a boring one. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Fulham. Because just
Ooh,
Villa,
okay.
they're just not, just don't look good, do they? Watkins can't buy a goal. Obviously, really poor penalty in the week as well.
I think Watkins' mind is elsewhere now. I think he's been a bit hurt, stung by the whole, the Arsenal
Yeah,
thing where he wasn't allowed to go to
yeah.
Arsenal. He's missed out. If he looks at Eze got to his boyhood club. He didn't
Mm,
get to his,
yeah, but I mean,
he had the chance and
Villa without a win, and I think they've only scored 1 goal, and there's Matty Cash's fucking 20-yard pile driver. So yeah,
yeah.
they're
And
having
they
some
played in the
struggles.
midweek as well. It wasn't a
Yeah,
great game either.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Fulham,
just think
Fulham have
Villa are
had quite a good
struggling
start
right
as
now.
well. Fulham have looked all right in the opening few
Fulham
games.
are
I
a good
think.
team. Fulham are a good team. Marco Silva, as Tom said as well. Marco Silva's a good manager. I don't think he's cut out for the big clubs,
Mm,
but Fulham is absolutely his
yeah,
level.
absolutely. Yeah, spot on. The only game that anyone listening to this is interested in: Newcastle and
Exactly.
Arsenal.
Ay, ay, ay. My heart says 2-1 to the Arsenal. I'm going to go with that because my
Listen to
head
your
says
heart,
something
yeah.
else I hate. Yeah, I can't do what my head's telling me, which I'm not going to. I'm going to let my heart rule it. 2-1 to the
Go on, what's your
Arsenal.
head
Come on,
saying?
the Arsenal. Don't let me down. 1-1, it's saying.
Uh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go for the old famous 1-0 to the Arsenal. I think this could.
You think we're not going to concede? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think defensively, I mean, I jinxed us against City, but I'm saying we'd deal with Haaland, but he scored in 10 minutes. But no, I think Newcastle haven't quite found their rhythm attacking wise yet,
Yeah.
and I think this could potentially be one of the games that everyone hates us for, where we could just win it off a set piece, something like that. But yeah,
Okay.
if 1-0 to the Arsenal, we take it every day of the week, mate, and move into the next batch of fixtures, hopefully, which should be plenty of wins on the way. The
Yeah,
last game of the
hopefully,
weekend,
hopefully.
which is at this weird sort of 8 o'clock on a Sunday for some reason, I believe. Everton versus West Ham.
Is it? It's Monday, isn't it?
Oh, was it
Monday,
Monday
8
night game?
o'clock. Yeah, it's the Monday night game.
Okay, fine. Monday
Everton
Monday
for a
night
win.
football.
I think this is gonna be Graham Potter's last game, to be honest. I think that what Everton have done reasonably well, even though they lost to the Merseyside derby, it wasn't for lack of trying. I just think Everton have got too much quality. West Ham are struggling so badly with their identity, who they are, what they are, and I think Everton are gonna win this 2-0.
Yeah. Yeah, same as you, mate. I think that's probably nailed on 2-0. Yeah,
Have you seen
I'm
I
going.
also just a quick thing I saw so on YouTube, they did a li they there's this guy who goes around looking at, the stadium and the
Mm.
facilities and all that, and he's done a bunch of he went to the Hill Dixon Stable. I have to say, it looks very nice.
Okay.
And also as well, for quite a reasonable price, I'm not saying it's re he did the whole, corporate entertainment package. Did some nice food, and it looked
Trust you
it's
to
a
pay
very
attention
nice
to the
sta
grub.
Hey, look. Hey, people, if you don't know, I'm a food person. If you ever watch me on the Late Night Latte, I like my food. I like it a lot. So, obviously, I'm looking at the food. What world do you think you've known me for how many years?
I know, yeah.
15 or so, and
I should know better.
you've
I
only just
apologise.
realized this? Yes, exactly. Lesson learned.
Yeah.
But yeah, Everton are doing very well, actually, I think.
Mm.
I think they'll have a good season.
Yeah, I need to get up there, to be fair. Need to go and hopefully get
Yeah.
to that one. Maybe Captain Waleed can sort us out some tickets for the game, maybe, but we'll see. But no, that's the predictions are in, mate. All the fixtures are done. We go into this week level. Let's see who comes out of the weekend ahead.
Yeah, let's see. Thank you, Joe, for that. Appreciate it. If you're hopefully you're enjoying the predictors game we go because obviously end of season, I'm looking forward to Joe paying for my meal. That's my hope. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much, Joe, as always, for for joining me and taking part and talking about all the talking points we've gone through. Hopefully, get a win for the Arsenal this weekend, and then we can talk about on our post-match show later on in the week, and obviously we'll do a preview, hopefully, of the Olympiacos game next week. But if you haven't managed to, please do subscribe to Red Lines Half Spaces on all the good podcast platforms: Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon. We're on all of that. We've got TikTok as well. Do check out our videos. Go back and have a look at the podcast that we've been talking about with Tom Canton. It was a great to participate in. But for now, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one of Red Lines and Half Spaces. Bye for now.